All right, Bama Nation, let's go. Let's get it. You're rocking and rolling right here on a Wednesday, hump day on the hottest show of the streets, talking your Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. You know what time it is. You hit that thumbs up right now. Smash the like button, tap the like button, get those like levels raised up. Be all in and about the show on this evening. Tap that subscribe button as well. Make sure you make this your spot, your channel, your path, your avenue to have conversations about your Bama football. As always, that daily super chat go $100. Daily super chat go $100 right there. We appreciate that coming from all of you. The phone number to call tonight, you know what it is. 205-448-1358, right above my head right there. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Definitely want to hear from all of you. Bama's 2025 regular season football schedule is out. We're going to talk about it, have a conversation about it, the games that we like, the games, how they were scheduled, who bye weeks again. We are going to talk about this 2025 schedule, among other things, but definitely want all of you in on the conversation. We get some quick comments right now. How about my girl Cat Bull is in here? Roll Tide to your cat. Patricia Purdue is in here. Roll Tide, Steve. Appreciate that. Patricia. Eric White is in here with the Roll Tide. Plow Jogger, my boy Plow with the Roll Tide. Appreciate you, Plow. Nick Harden is in here, Roll Tide, Steven. Monica Hubbard is here with the Roll Tide. Angry Jets fan is in here with the Roll Tide. Appreciate that, Plow Jogger. Congrats to Jaylen Milroe for winning the Campbell Trophy, the Heisman of college football, the academic Heisman of college football. That being congrats to Milroe on winning the William V. Campbell Trophy. Alabama fan 13. Getting us a Roll Tide. Appreciate that from Alabama fan 13. Everybody getting their comments in, being a part of the show early and often. Once again, as you guys are in here, we are looking at the 2025 Bama football schedule. It was released today on the SEC network. It'll be interesting talking about these games, how this stuff sets up here, bye week, all of that stuff. It'll be a fun conversation. J-Dog 67 is here. Roll Tide roll. I'll be in the third row. It's bowl game. So J-Dog already set to go for this Rely Quest Bowl. Roll Tide and rise up. Getting us a Roll Tide family. Appreciate that coming from him. Plow Jogger back with oops. Yes, academic Heisman. Me embarrassed. LOL. Hey, it's okay, Plow. It's all right. It took me a minute, Plow, myself, to recognize that the William V. Campbell, that academic version of the Heisman Trophy. So, Plow, you're not alone there. Cat Pool. So, I guess we get to watch Texas cakewalk through their regular season schedule again next season. Hey, Cat, hey, I guess that's what it is. Kenneth writes in Roll Tide to you, Kenneth. We got B-Rob actually kind of excited for the offseason. B-Rob, I am too. It gives you a chance to see what is the mindset, what is the mentality of Kalen DeBoer going into the spring, next summer, fall camp of next year. What's the mindset of it all? Jay the GOAT writes in, the schedule not hard at all. So Jay the GOAT giving his thoughts right there. He also says, when do they declare for the draft ready for mildew to go? Wow. So when they declare for the draft, Jay the GOAT, that would be after the bowl game. So after the bowl game, the coaching staff sits down with all the players who are draft eligible, reads some draft grades. They feeling like, hey, this draft grade is good enough for me to go pro. They declare, of course, on social media. They may make their statement to the local media at a different time, but it will take place after the bowl game. J-Dog 67. It will be fun to see Georgia whoop Texas for a third time. LOL. So J-Dog keeping the positive spin on that. Plow Jogger writes in, this offseason will be about DeBoer reshuffling the deck to get the type of players he wants next year for his system. Absolutely. Jay to go. I wouldn't play Jaylen at quarterback. It's time to move on and see the future. So Jay to go, getting us his thoughts right there. We got Kurt Blurbs in here, and Kurt Blurbs. Remember when they installed the playoff after Bama rematched LSU? They didn't want rematches. Now we have a thrice repeat. Look, man, that's what happened with Georgia, Texas. That's what happened, Kurt Blurbs. That's what happened. The more things change, the more they actually truly stay the same. That's what it is. Bama boy, my boy Damon Davis is in here. What's good, Stephen and Bama Nation? Hey, Bama boy, we good. We are good. We are good. I mean, yeah, Kurt Blurbs that they had this college football playoff to prevent SEC championship rematches or SEC marquee rematch as well. You're going to have one again here in the college football playoff between Georgia and Texas. And that's why I said the more things change, the more they try to change stuff, the more things actually truly remain the same, which Kurt Blurbs replies, so true. Thank you. Absolutely. We got my man, y'all Warriors in here. Roll Tide Roll. We will be back next year. Y'all Warrior, appreciate that. Tolbert Saint OG in here. What's up, Steven? Roll Tide, Bama Nation. What's up to you, Saint? What's up to you, Tolbert Saint OG? But continuing, Damon Davis, it's a darn shame that Texas and Georgia can play each other a third time. Yeah, man. Texas and Georgia are going to play each other a third time. Once in the regular season, again in the SEC championship game, and one more time in the college football playoff, which I speak to. The more things change, the more they actually truly stay the same. As badly as the college football playoff committee did not want these SEC rematches in the playoff, guess what? You got it. You got it. Nick Harden, with a different quarterback, DeBoer can install the offense he wants. He can. It's going to be intriguing. Going to be intriguing, especially now. We all got the news. Dylan Larnigan, a former four-star in the 2023 class from Brookwood High School in Georgia. He has filed his paperwork to enter the transfer portal. So now you're looking at, next season, Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, Keon Keeley. That's intriguing right there. Let's see here. So Mr. Jacob, B. Frank Brandon agreeing with Nick there. Let's see here. James Knox with Roll Tide Till I Die. The TDA family, in my own words, I'm here to climb the CFP 12 era mountain. Join me, Family Nation, when y'all get that hunger back, can't or won't climb, thinking you're already at the top, period. So Jay Knox wanted people to get that hunger. Damon Davis writes in, Steven, your thoughts on who all need in the portal, or who all we need in the portal on both sides of the football. Thank you. I think Alabama can use one more explosive receiver from the portal. I think Alabama can use an offensive tackle from the portal. I think Alabama can definitely use a defensive lineman from the portal. Those three areas: offensive line, offensive tackle, defensive lineman, wide receiver. Those three aspects I can see Alabama seriously needing there in that portal. But before we continue with more of your comments here, we're going to go to a phone call. You are live. You are right now live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name. Where you calling from?
Hey, Steven, it's Daniel from Phoenix City. How are you?
Doing great, Daniel. Doing great, my man. We're about to get ready to get into a conversation about, Alabama's 2025 regular season schedule is out. We're going to see, how this thing looks like. But, Daniel, how are you?
Man, I'm doing good. Man, I just got a couple quick questions for you. I meant to ask the other day, but I forgot. I keep hearing a lot of talk about the playoffs changing. I know we're set where we are now until, I think, 26. Do you think that auto bid goes away at some point? Because that's kind of the thing that messed this whole thing up, isn't it?
You would think so. I mean, you would think it would have to. My thing is have the auto bid go away and just bracket these teams. Have the auto bid go away,
I mean,
set these
it would make life so much easier.
yeah, have the auto bid go away, set these teams up and just let these teams play. Because you have to think once it goes to 14 teams, those auto bids are gone.
Yeah, you would like to think. I mean, I just I know that doesn't change anything, but I mean, there's the whole conversation about conference championships need to matter regardless where it's at. But also, I mean, on the flip side of that, I kind of for years, and maybe it's just still the BCS thought process to me, but where conference championships mattered, if you let's just say you do lose, you don't get quote punished per se, but a loss is still a loss there, is it not?
Right, right. It's gonna be very interesting, Daniel, how they do this, right? Because at the very beginning, it was we have the BCS system, we have these computers, and they thought, well, the computers are too picky, they're too fickle. The Alabama LSU rematch for the national championship 2011 season 2012 game, that's what got people thinking, I'm done with the computers. All they like is the SEC. All they like is Bama. We need a human element to this. Well, then you get the human element with the college football playoff starting off with 4 teams, and 8 of the 10 years you do that, Alabama's in there. So now they're like, no, we got to expand it to 12 teams. And now it's expanded to 12 teams, but now you're with this herky jerky with, do conference championships matter? Does strength of schedule matter? Now you're moving to 14 teams. People are not going to be satisfied no matter how you play it.
Right. There's always somebody out, always someone's gonna be upset about it. And that's part of it, I mean, whatever it is, again, it is what it is, man. Other thing I was gonna ask you is that tight end from Arkansas that's supposed to be visiting. What do you think about that guy?
I think he's good. I think he's really talented. I think he would fit of his Alabama system if that's the move that Kalen DeBoer wants to make. You would have to look at C.J. Dupree. Could be headed for the NFL draft after the season. Robbie Oots, kind of the same thing. You're already seeing draft pundits look at him as a fullback at the next level. You've already lost Danny Lewis Jr. to the transfer portal. So I think if you're going to look at anybody, that young man from Arkansas is good. So if I'm Kalen DeBoer, I will look that way, especially if you continue to use that tight end position. Now, this season, we saw Alabama go to the tight end quite a bit with Pre having 19 catches this year, Cuevas having 15, including 1 touchdown. If Bama can get more tight end usage, I would definitely go out there and get the young man in the portal from out of Arkansas.
Well, Stephen, I certainly appreciate you taking my call. You have a good one now.
Absolutely. Appreciate my man Daniel from Phoenix City calling in to get us started here on a Wednesday. We continue with this call here. You are live. You are now live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? This is my man G. What's going on, G?
Steve, my boy, what's good with you, big dog?
Hey, man, I'm good, man. I can't complain here. Can't call it here. We're about to soon get into this Alabama 2025 schedule as it dropped here, and going to pick out some things, to look at some things here, and what we like about it, what we don't like about it.
Yeah, I just looked at that 2025 schedule right when I seen that's what we be talking about up here, and not to be funny, not to be a broken record, but that 2025 schedule looks a little more dangerous than the year we just had. And can you pull the schedule up for me, Steve? Give me a rundown on it again. I don't got it up right now. You got it up?
Okay. So, G, I got you covered right here, man. So I got the schedule on screen for all the fans, all the listeners. I have the schedule's right here on screen. So you start the season off with Florida State, right? You go to Tallahassee. You started off at Florida State. That's on August 20, at the final week of August there. And after you play Florida State, you got UL Monroe. You got La Monroe. You know, people still looking like, you know, that it's not 07 with Saban. So you got La Monroe second. Then you got Wisconsin third, but this time Wisconsin comes to Tuscaloosa. Then you got the bye week. The bye week looks like that September 20th for your bye week. After the bye week, you play Georgia, which was the same thing that happened this year. After the bye week, Alabama had Georgia.
Okay.
You got Georgia again. After Georgia, you play Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt comes to Saban Field. So you got Vandy. Then next you got Missouri. So you got Missouri there, you know, on the schedule. We go to Missouri to play Missouri. We go to Georgia to play Georgia. We go to Missouri to play Missouri. Then next, you got Tennessee. Tennessee
and we go to Tallahassee.
Huh?
We go to Tallahassee.
Bama goes to Tallahassee. Bama goes to Tallahassee. It goes to Tallahassee. It's home against La Monroe, home against Wisconsin. Then the bye week. It's road against Georgia, home against Vandy, road against Missouri, home against Tennessee. Then it's road against South. Then it's road against South Carolina. Then after South Carolina, there's another bye week. After that bye week, you are home against LSU. You are home against Oklahoma. You are home against Eastern Illinois. And you are on the road to Jordan-Hare to play Auburn.
Okay. The reason I said, you know, next year is a little more dangerous is because, in my opinion, something's telling me that Milroe is going to go to the draft. People, if you look at the draft report, they're not really hard against Milroe because of his exceptional running skills. So the tag that Milroe has right now is if he's a good player in the right hands. That's kind of the name that's beginning to follow Milroe. He's a dynamic player, a great runner, a great deep ball passer. But like your boy said on the show yesterday, he's not a good pocket pass. He's not a good passer of the ball. That was good how you said that. But if you look at the schedule next year, it's kind of like a repeat of this one, but with a little more flair to it, if I would say, because like it's almost like a rematch of this year. You know what I'm saying? Outside of the Tallahassee game, but it's like, you know, it's kind of, I don't know, Steve. I'm not really too optimistic about it because it's like I said, it looks like a redo of this season. And, you know, the 3 games we lost this year is because we couldn't stop the run. Regardless of what the offense did, you know, we went into Oklahoma and we had 3 points on the board. We couldn't run the ball, but Oklahoma had their way against us. You know, Vandy had their way against us, and Tennessee run game, you know, got open on us third quarter on down. You know what I'm saying, Steve? So if you look at that schedule next year, it's another run-heavy, dominant schedule. And I'm kind of worried about that, Steve. What you think about that?
I'll say that, G. As much as, and you bring up good points of being concerned, as much as what you're stating is true here, I look at the schedule, right? The 3 teams Alabama lost against last year, with this past season right here, you get all 3 of those teams at Saban Field next season. So I feel real good about that. Alabama was 8-0. Bama was 8-0. They were undefeated.
But the run game travels.
Field this year.
Run game travels, Steve.
Run game
the
does
run
travel.
game travels.
Run game does travel. But my thing is here though. Here's my thing. I look at Tennessee. I don't think they're going to have Samson next season. I could be wrong, but I think Samson's going to the draft.
Okay.
I don't know who they got after him, but I think Samson's going to the draft. You look at Vanderbilt. Is Diego Pavia coming back? I don't think so. I don't think so though. And then
Okay, okay, okay,
you look at
okay,
Oklahoma, their quarterback Jackson Arnold just hit the portal.
okay. Johnson Arnold, yeah, you right, you right. Okay, okay. So what you saying is some of the key factors and why we lost those games is not looking like they're going to come back. So you thinking our biggest
That's what
games
I'm
next year
saying.
would be
That's what
the
I'm saying,
Georgia?
G. That's what I'm
You
saying.
think the Georgia game would be a big one for us? Okay,
I think
Georgia, South Carolina.
Georgia on the road is going to be interesting. You go into Athens. You haven't been to Athens since 2015, so that one's going to be a good one.
Uh-huh.
You got to go to Missouri. I think the last time Bama went to Missouri, that was the 2020 season, the COVID season. That was 2020 when you went to Missouri,
Okay.
and then you go to Missouri. And the last time you went to South Carolina, that's Williams-Brice Stadium. That was 2019 with Tua when Najee had that crazy hurdle.
Okay. 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 All right. So so South Carolina gonna have that D line. It's gonna be a little better next year. It was good this year. It's gonna be a little better next year. So like I said, Steve, I got great confidence in the players, but like I said, I don't fully buy into the board just yet, and it's not nothing schematically. I don't think his issues on the X and O team. I don't think his issue will be recruiting. He hasn't shown me, my personal opinion, the true guts to make the right decisions. So, like I said, my worry is the grit and the beef of our schedule. That's kind of where we struggled this year. Do you really think he will make the changes? Because a lot of people are saying we got Keelan Russell coming in, we got so and so coming in, but like what most of the guys on the panel said last night that you was on, a adequate coach would have won with Milroe this year, and I kind of agree. I understand Sheridan is not his guy. But the boy was still hearing those calls, big dog. So I just feel I don't care who's at the helm at quarterback. I don't care if it's Keelan Russell. I don't care if it's whoever. He hasn't shown the guts to do it the way that is required. You follow what I'm saying, Steve? I don't know if he has the guts to do it. What do you think about that?
G, if he wants to be the coach to take this program further or push it even higher than the foundation that's already been laid here, he gonna have to find it this offseason. He gonna have to find it. He gonna have to
Okay.
find it this offseason because
Okay.
you as Alabama, I'm gonna tell you something before I let you go, G. You as Alabama fans, and I'm talking about, and I've said this before, there's a difference between fair weather fans and fans that are just super locked into their football program. A fan that's super locked
Yeah.
in, that wants the best for their program, they're going to call out stuff that's not right because they want change. They
Yeah.
want improvement. They want better. They
Yeah.
love their program so much that it burns them when their program's not good or when their program is not doing something that
Yeah.
can make it better. It burns them when they're not able to brag and boast about how elite their program is when they're seeing something that's keeping it from taking it to that next level. And that's how it's supposed to be. As a
It's
fan,
the simple
yeah,
things. The simple things too.
right. Absolutely.
It's
But I
the
appreciate you,
simple
G,
things
man.
that
Hey,
we
you have a
missing,
good one,
Steve.
brother.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely. G from Raleigh calling in. Appreciate him on today. We're going to take this call. You are, hold on. We got you now. You are live on the show. What's happening? How we feel? And state your name. Where you calling from?
Let's see, Jerry, man, from T-Town. What's good, Steven?
CJ, I'm doing well, man. Doing good. We got this Bama 2025 schedule that we're all looking at and breaking down. And looks like a repeat of a schedule that Bama just played with some new flavor in there with Florida State, among other things. But how are you feeling?
Man, I'm just, Michigan, ain't much to look forward to. But the Florida State game, you think Florida State's going to be worth anything this year, or they're going to run this win like they did this year? Or?
That right there, CJ, is the biggest question because I look at Mike Norvell. Florida State came into the season ranked number 10 preseason. Everybody picking Florida State to get in the playoff. And we watch Florida State fall on their face again. And the only person that I felt bad for was Roydell Williams. Roydell did everything he was supposed to have done at Alabama. He goes to Florida State. It doesn't work out for him. He's the only one of which I was hurt by that. It didn't work out for him. But it all comes down to, man, how good do these players and Mike Norvell want Florida State to be?
Yeah, didn't Benson go there too?
Yeah, Benson went there.
Malik.
Roydell went there. Earl Little went there. Terrence Ferguson went there. I think those four.
Well, the schedule when it popped off there, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, Florida State, that's a brand name. It's a good name. Wanted to be the best they can, but if they're going to do like they did this year, that ain't going to hold no weight to the schedule. So all the teams that we did lose to on the road, we get at home, which is good. And I don't want to lose to anybody. But if we did lose to Georgia, a lot by a little, that's not going to hurt us too bad. But I still think we could beat them. But the schedule, to me, I know G was talking about it was dangerous, but I think it looks pretty good myself.
I mean, for me, the main thing is here. Yes, playing Georgia on the road is intriguing because you go on the road to face Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs. You haven't been to Athens since 2015. I understand that. But as you mentioned, CJ, the teams Bama lost to this season right here on the road, you get all those guys on Saban Field. You get Vanderbilt in Tuscaloosa. You get Tennessee in Tuscaloosa. You get Oklahoma in Tuscaloosa. And here's the big thing here. Tennessee, their running back Sampson, who rushed for over 100 yards against Bama this season right here, he's more than likely headed to the NFL draft. So Tennessee may not have him. James Pierce Jr., their big-time defensive pass rusher, headed to the NFL draft. You're not going to have him. So you look at that. Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia, their quarterback they got from the transfer portal that had success this year, I don't think he's going to be back. He might, but I do not think he's going to be back. And he was a big part of their offense. And then Oklahoma, they just had Jackson Arnold hop in the transfer portal, the quarterback. So the three teams that you lost to, they've got players that meant a lot in terms of carrying them to the success that they had will more than likely not be on their roster next season.
Yeah. Well, I think that game that's us there. And I know it's I was going to ask you another question about the Russell kid. Is that Russell just always wanted to be Bama, or was that DeBoer going out and really trying to get him?
I think it's a bit of both. He wanted Bama football. He's always been on Bama football. But I think it's also, Kalen DeBoer going out there and hand-picking a guy that he knows this dude is going to fit what I want to do. I mean, the guy, arm ability, throwing, passing ability, extending playability. This guy is on the verge of winning his third 6A state championship in high school down there in Texas. Keelan Russell's got a confidence, a swagger. He knows what he is and who he is. You remember CJ, of how when Bryce Young took the field in college, Bryce just had an air about he knew exactly what he was.
He took over, man. He took over. He was the man. He was the leader.
Keelan Russell kind of has that same air about himself to where he knows exactly what he is and who he is.
Yeah, when you said he came from Duncanville, Texas, I was listening that night, and I grew up in Duncanville, Alabama, right outside of Tuscaloosa, right there. So All right, so we got another kid from another Duncanville. But one last question, Steve. Sheridan's got to go. There ain't no way. The Bama Nation ain't gonna put up with that. He's got to go. And I tuned in late. You may have already talked about it. I'm not sure, but Sheridan's got to go 100%. Do you see anybody out there that will be willing, worth the job, taking the job? Do you think you got anybody in mind?
So if Alabama was to make this move, and I don't know if Kagan and the boys going to pull this, but and speaking hypothetically, if Kagan and the boys was to make this move and say, Sheridan, love you, bruh, but we going stage left. And for me, I would love for somebody like a Joe Brady. I don't know if you get a Joe Brady. I would love a Joe Brady to come in here. I would love a Joe Brady to come in here. If you could make a call to, because you look at the New York Giants, are they satisfied with Brian Dable? Do they like Brian Dable? I know they're trying to get possibly Shedeur Sanders to be drafted by the Giants. But if you're not feeling Brian Dable, if you're Alabama, would you want Brian Dable back in here? I mean, he did get a national championship with Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts. Would you want to move there with Brian Dable? But my number one guy would definitely be Joe Brady if you can get him.
Yeah, that sounds excellent. That sounds really good. Well, I won't take up no more of your time, but I will say book it, man. Sheridan will not be back next year. And thanks for your thoughts, Stephen, and letting me talk about it, and roll tide.
Appreciate my guy CJ calling in from T-Town. Appreciate him being a part of the show. We're going to go to this call right here. Guess what, baby? You're live on the show. What's happening? How we feeling? State your name. Where you calling from?
Hello, Stephen. This is Mike in Austin. How you doing, man?
Mike, I'm doing great. We're right now, we're having a conversation about Bama's 2025 college football schedule. Came out today from SEC Network. Looks like the same schedule that we just saw that Bama just played, but with a little bit of flavor in the mix with Florida State, Monroe, among other stuff. But, Mike, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good, but I can tell you, man, this is a tough-ass schedule we got coming up next year. And you're right. I think it's all the same teams we played, except just the home and the away is split. But I'm looking at our out-of-conference game, Florida State and Wisconsin, two very respectable out-of-conference games. And then all the other typical SEC games we got, like Tennessee and LSU, I think, is on there, but we also add Oklahoma. So, when Texas and Oklahoma came into the league, our schedule got a little tougher because we added Oklahoma, give or take where they're at, but at least they're a bowl team, and at least they're an awesome, a big brand. But it's a very difficult schedule, Stephen, as compared to the Texas Longhorns that have the easiest SEC schedule I've seen in 50 years of football, and SEC football, and when you try to tell them that, they're in complete denial. When you try to tell a Texas Longhorn fan, look, man, you avoided Tennessee, you avoided LSU, you avoided Alabama, you avoided Missouri, you avoided South Carolina, you avoided LSU, you avoided the grind. When you try to tell them that, all they say is, hey, yeah, Vandy beat y'all, man. They are complete idiots. And I'll be honest with you, Stephen. I at first, I live in Texas, by the way. Just as a disclaimer, I live in Austin, Texas. But I was kind of like Saban. No, don't do the horns down. The horns down is childish. But you know what, man? Somebody ought to start a YouTube channel, Horns Down YouTube channel, all about Texas hate. Because I have never seen a fan base so entitled to something that they've never earned. And then Texas has been wandering around the pasture for the past 15 years, finally has a good season, the Big 12. Honestly, I'm not really impressed with what they've done in the SEC so far. They played one top-tier team, Georgia, got annihilated at home, and then got beat on a home field. But anyway, that's my rant about Texas. They horns down all the way. They're the second biggest posers. Ohio State's the first biggest poser. But speaking of which, I want to ask Bama Nation and you one question, right? What in the world is going on with this unnecessary Big Ten love? By the way, this guy running this committee at the Big Ten, he's the same guy that turned his back on the Connor. He's the Michigan AD that turned a blind eye to the Connor Stallion situation. So I don't trust this committee by any stretch of the imagination. But let me ask you one question, man, before I go. What in the living world has Ohio State ever done in their life to get to host a playoff team? What in the world have they done the past 3 or 4 years? Now they get to host a playoff game. I cannot understand this Big Ten love, man. But anyway, Stephen, thank you for letting me rant, man. I appreciate that very much. This is a tough schedule, dude. Unlike a lot of people, Texas, we got a tough schedule. As far as the offensive coordinator goes, I don't know, man. I don't know. But what I do think is this. I do think DeBoer and Sheridan, their offensive philosophy requires a throwing quarterback. I don't think Milroe's a throwing quarterback. Milroe's a great guy. We all love Milroe. We all love the 4th and 31. Everything is all good. I do not think Milroe is a DeBoer quarterback. And that comes from a good place in my heart, man. Not a bad place in my heart. That comes from a good place in my heart. So with that being said, I don't know what's going to play out with the coordinators, but I do think we need a new QB. That's because I know that there's been a little talk about Milroe. I saw one of your YouTube posts about Milroe. That's why I mentioned that. But hey, man, good luck. God bless. And roll tide.
Appreciate Mike from Austin calling in, giving his thoughts here on the show. 205-448-1358 for them to call in. Let your voice be made known. 205-448-1358. We're talking this Alabama schedule here. You got this Alabama schedule, 205-448-1358. We're going to get this $10 super chat from my man DP. Not Dr. Pepper, but Don Parker, who writes in, it can't matter what teams are ranked that Bama plays next season. What matters is getting back to the standard of Alabama football. It all starts with DeBoer. He has to be responsible. That comes from our own Don Parker, putting that $10 donation there in the super chats. But appreciate all of you guys for being a part here of the show, getting everything going in the YouTube chat line. My man Big Bill writes in, Bill from New York, the team will be bigger next season. A new quarterback will make a big difference. Roll Tide Roll, that comes from my man Bill. I mean, Lorna get in the portal, best to him. Best to him. Want nothing but the best for that young man. You got Simpson, Russell, Austin Mack. You know, it'll be fun to see this quarterback room coming up here in spring ball. We got here, shield out by fears, no faith. Sorry from 40-year-old so-called fair weather Bama fans for 40 years, going all the way back to the Ray Perkins era. Hey, Ray Perkins, Bill Curry, those were some tough times, man. Tough following Bear Bryant. Tough. But you were able to go into Gene Stallings, national championship in 92, and flowed from there. Flyboy G, my guy G writes in, it's only dangerous if we are the same team next year. And I don't feel he has the guts to hire and fire to fix our issues. So my boy G talking about Kagan DeBoer, not having the guts there, but he feels like this schedule is going to be dangerous if Alabama's the same team that it put out here this past regular season. So it's going to be interesting next season. It's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be real interesting. I mean, as I look at this myself, people, I mean, Florida State, you should go into Tallahassee and handle Florida State. You should, right? I mean, Mike Norvell, the culture at Florida State's awful. Awful. Bad. Putrid culture in Tallahassee. You should go right into Florida State and win that game. That should be a W. If you go in there with your mind right, as Scott Cochran would say, you should take Florida State. Now, Monroe, you should win that game. Not overlooking them, but you should win that game. Seriously. Wisconsin, you should win that game. You get a bye week. Georgia on the road, that one's gonna be something. But I'll say this: in the games that were hyped up as big games, we're talking about national media, television, betting sites, all external factors hyping up these games as quote unquote big games. The board won those. Georgia was one of them this past regular season. It was hyped up. Major game, huge game, big game, college game day, betting lines, TV revenue, all that. Presidential candidate who's the president, Donald Trump, was at the Georgia game, y'all. And Bama won that one. So when it's been marketed as a huge blockbuster first ticket card game, boys show up. So and there's that. You look at Vanderbilt, you get Vandy in Tuscaloosa, you should win that game as get back there. You go on the road to Missouri, that will be interesting. You got to handle that the right way, that road environment. You get Tennessee in Tuscaloosa, you should get that game. Saban Field, should get that game. You go on the road to South Carolina, those fans at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, they can get loud, they can get rowdy, they can get boisterous. I've been to Williams-Brice. I know those fans. They can get turned up. Seriously up there. That will be an interesting atmosphere there. Then after the bye week, you come back to Saban Field to face LSU. You already got LSU fans seriously wondering, did we make another wrong hire in Brian Kelly? You got LSU fans wondering that right now. Now, I think Garrett Nussmeier has announced he's coming back for a fifth year at quarterback, but you got so many Cajuns down there. Did we really make the right move in Brian Kelly? You got LSU at Saban Field. You got Oklahoma at Saban Field. Once again, the Sooners, Jackson Arnold's in the portal. You should get Oklahoma. You should get Oklahoma. You should win this one. Eastern Illinois, that's a directional school in Illinois. You should literally just be like, you should stump a mud hole in Eastern Illinois. I'm just saying. And then you got Auburn. And I know Auburn, Jordan-Hare, stuff happens, crazy stuff. I get it. But even with that, should get Auburn and Jordan-Hare. So I look at the schedule. Right now. The only game that kind of makes me somewhat nervous, the game that kind of of all the games on this schedule, the game so far that kind of makes me somewhat nervous would be South Carolina, because they had a really good season with Coach Beamer. You get Stewart, your big-time pass rusher. He's coming back off NIL. I mean, South Carolina ended this regular season on a 6-game win streak, and you get them in Columbia. That's probably right now, just off looking at the schedule, that's probably the one game so far that's got me the most nervous. Now, I know what you're thinking. Steven, Georgia should have you a little bit nervous. No. Reason why, that's going to be a big money game. Everybody's going to be talking about it. College game day may be there. When it's big money, the boys show up and they show out. And we've seen it. So that's why Georgia doesn't bother me. It doesn't make me any type of nervous. LSU game doesn't make me any type of nervous. I mean, of course, you always have a small quiver when you see that Auburn game at the end and it's at Jordan-Hare. It always gives you a slight quiver there because of where that game is being played. But right now, just off me looking at the schedule, the one game that I'm kind of sort of nervous about off the rip is the South Carolina game there because of the fact that it is at, Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. But we're going to take a quick little break here before we get back and wrap things up. Right now, we're going to go to a quick commercial, folks, and we'll be back to continue conversation and wrapping things up.
Touchdown Alabama is a fully independent outlet that covers all things Alabama football. Founded in 2007 when Nick Saban arrived, we have been here through the entire Nick Saban era. In this new era, now is the perfect time to stay up to date on everything Alabama football and know what's going on, including everything that's going on with recruiting. Our website at touchdownalabama.com will always keep you in the know on everything that's going on with the Crimson Tide. And you can also get breaking news notifications with our app. We have over 100,000 followers on Facebook, over 60,000 on Twitter, nearly 30,000 on Instagram, over 30,000 on TikTok, and we're constantly growing. Also, be sure to become a part of this rapidly growing venture and subscribe to touchdownalabama.com to get inside and premium information on the team as well as recruiting inside the state of Alabama. We are constantly adding to our premium subscription package, so be sure to lock in now.
Absolutely, absolutely. Be sure to lock in to get all that good stuff from us here at TDA Touchdown Alabama Magazines. We're back into the action here from the break. We get back into the call, not the call line, but the chat line here. Chat line is jumping. Chat line is jumping. Let's see here. We'll take this thought from Don Parker. All the road games are highly concerning to me. So Don Parker's looking at every single road game as one highly concerning for him. So I understand you're done. I understand. Let's see here. Jacob Arthur writes in, you do know you play in Athens next year, right? I do know that Alabama plays in Athens, but still, Alabama played in Athens 2015, beat Georgia. When Alabama is in Atlanta for SEC championships against Georgia, and Atlanta's like a second home. It's supposed to be a second home for the Dogs. You play Alabama in Atlanta, Georgia, 9 times out of 10, you've lost. So, no. I mean, I understand, yes, the game's going to be in Athens, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't make me any nervous at all because when Kirby Smart has only beaten Alabama once since becoming Georgia's head coach in 2016. He only has one win over the Crimson Tide. So until you consistently get over that hump, no, there's nobody afraid of Kirby Smart when you talk about him playing against Alabama. There's nobody afraid of that until he gets over that hump. And right now, he hasn't gotten over that hump yet. Adam Hartfield writes in, suggestion for Georgia next year, don't wear black. They did not work out last time at all. Hey, Adam taking us back to that 2008 blackout game between the Hedges and Athens. So, suggestion for Georgia, for my man Adam Hatfield, do not wear black. It didn't work out the last time, as, Scott Cochran famously saying, look like they're going down the. So, yeah, so that, you don't wear the black that time there. Let's see. Tough as Nails writes in, Saban said the defense always travels. Defense does travel. Defense tends to always travel. So, I mean, we going to see how Alabama maneuvers this schedule for 2025. But first and foremost, people, they got to get through this time of practicing, this time of preparation, this time of readying itself to take on Michigan in the ReliQuest Bowl. Got to get itself prepared to take on the Wolverines here. We got Shield Out by Fears. Our Furs writes in, I hope and pray DeBoer wins 10 to 12 games next year and gets to the playoff and has a long, great tenure at Bama. But this conference is stronger than it has ever been due to NIL and the transfer portal, save and retire. This is true. This conference is tougher. It's more competitive. There's more parity. There's more good teams. The playing field is so level now because of NIL and the transfer portal. I agree with that statement. We look at Nick Harden writes in, I agree with Don Parker. We haven't played good on the road. Bama has not been consistent on the road. No, it has not. Played great against Wisconsin, played great against LSU, dropped the ball against Oklahoma, dropped the ball against Vandy, dropped the ball against Tennessee. So Bama has not consistently been good on the road whatsoever. So that's an area that Coach DeBoer has got to have this group improve upon, get better at, is being better, being locked in, being super focused, playing a great style of ball on the road. That's important here. From Skyline, we in here. Let's get it. You know what it is, From? We got your back, man. We got your back. Skyline crew, we in here. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. Skyline crew, we in here. We rocking and rolling like the big dogs. Appreciate From being a part of the show here. We continue with comments here. Nick Harton writes in, Georgia hates playing Alabama, period. Kirby don't like playing Bama. Kirby don't like playing Bama. He don't. Like I said, that's the reason why I'm not overly concerned about this matchup in Athens next season. I'm not. That's why I say at the one game so far, looking at this schedule, that I have slight concern, this one right here, them circling. This one, South Carolina, Williams-Brice Stadium. Reason why? South Carolina nearly beat Alabama on Saban Field. South Carolina returns its big-time edge rusher, Dylan Stewart, of whom Bama's offensive line couldn't stop in the game. South Carolina ended on a 6-game win streak. That's the only team that I'm nervous about. That is the only team that I'm nervous about, period. Outside of that, I'm not nervous. I'm not. Outside of that, I'm not nervous. My thing is, I want Bama to go out there, play to its style, play to its standard, play to its strength, and handle business. That's all that I want done there. Continue with your comments here on the show. Let's see here. Tough as Nails writes in, all you have to do is not lose 3 games. Yeah. That's the reason why a lot of US Bama Nation, y'all, you guys are not complaining about not being in the playoff because y'all know all Bama had to do was not lose 3 games. All Bama had to do was take care of Oklahoma. All Alabama had to do was handle their business, and it's not in the situation that it's in. Because it didn't handle business, it's in the situation that it's in. Let's see here. James Carden giving the 9-3. Yeah, we know. We know Bama finished 9-3. We know. Damon Davis writes in, hey, DeBoer, this is the SEC, physical, not fast, but it has to. This is physical football, not fast, but it has to adapt to it. Damon, I think DeBoer, the loss to Oklahoma showed him. I think the loss to Oklahoma showed him, look, you got to win in these trenches. These trenches is what makes the SEC what it is. You got to win up front. And you got to win with dudes that get after the quarterback. And you got to win with dudes that can stop the run. You got to win with dudes like that. I mean, prime example. I know, and I myself am in this as well. I know a lot of us had problems, had issues with Pete Golding during his time at Alabama. But Pete Golding went over there to Ole Miss. Pete Golding used that NIL to get them dudes on his team. And Ole Miss had one of the best defenses in college football this season. Ole Miss did. And if not for some unfortunate turnovers that happened against Florida, Ole Miss would probably be in the college football playoff right now. So you got to be physical. It starts up front. It starts in the trenches, absolutely. D1_Bama with 11-1. I guess that may be D1_Bama's record for Bama next season. William writes in Roll Tide. Appreciate you, William, being a part of the show. Chris Camp, Tan, where's the great Bama defenses that shut down everybody, that shut everybody down of the past? And we suck. So, going to that question right there. The great Bama defense that shut down everybody in the past, that starts off with one, having the right scheme for those defenses. Two, and most importantly, you got to have the dudes that are willing to shut everybody down. You got to have the dudes willing to shut people down. You have to almost ask yourself the question, does Bama have the dudes that shut people down? You got to ask yourself that question. Folks, give me one moment here. We're going to go back into one final commercial here before we come back to wrap things up.
Touchdown Alabama is a fully independent outlet that covers all things Alabama football. Founded in 2007 when Nick Saban arrived, we have been here through the entire Nick Saban era. In this new era, now is the perfect time to stay up to date on everything Alabama football and know what's going on, including everything that's going on with recruiting. Our website at touchdownalabama.com will always keep you in the know on everything that's going on with the Crimson Tide. You can also get breaking news notifications with our app. We have over 100,000 followers on Facebook, over 60,000 on Twitter, nearly 30,000 on Instagram, over 30,000 on TikTok, and we're constantly growing. Also, be sure to become a part of this rapidly growing venture and subscribe to touchdownalabama.com to get inside and premium information on the team as well as recruiting inside the state of Alabama. We are constantly adding to our premium subscription package, so be sure to lock in now.
Absolutely, everybody. What's going on? What's happening here on the show? How the show in the streets are talking your Bama football news. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith here with TDA. Happy to be back here in the action, but just going back to that comment there from Chris Camp, the great Alabama defense that shut teams down in the past. You got to have those dudes, right? Like Bama hasn't had those dudes that could really just shut guys down. Bama hasn't had those guys. Like it's been a long time since you had dudes and you developed guys like Jonathan Allen that had that dog mentality in him, and you didn't have to say or do much to pull it out of him. It's been a long time since you've seen somebody like a Marcel Darius, a Terrence Cody, a Damian Square, a Nick Gentry, a Jaron Reed, a Dalvin Tomlinson, a Deron Payne, a Deshaun Hand, a Quinnen Williams. These were guys that had that dog mentality on the inside of them. All you had to do was get that joker to the field. That's all you had to do was get that joker to the field and then turn them loose, right? Part of that is scheme, but then the other part is having those dudes. You got to get those dudes back. Bama has missed here in the last few recruiting classes or so, not having those guys up front that command a double team, that command the tension, that command that respect, that command, hey, I'm a problem, and you got to deal with me. And those dudes are able to create opportunities for their teammates to create sacks, create tackles for loss, create pass breakups, create quarterback hurries, create takeaways, right? Got to get back to having those dudes, man. That's the big thing. Don Parker writes in, Bama needs to find a D-line and a D-line coach. This team will not find success without winning the trenches. O-line, Proctor, best drop weight. Proctor's going to have to cut down. He's going to have to. Proctor's going to have to cut down, absolutely. But you're going to have that defensive line get that pressure. I agree with you, Don Parker. Defensive line's got to get that pressure. Bryant Boykin, I have a question. Is Milroe returning or going to the draft? Well, draft pundits, NFL draft pundits say he's going to be in that draft with him having the first round grade on him. and so many people as draft pundits having him as the number 2 or 3 quarterback on their board. But as for me, I would like to see him pursue the draft. I would love the kid, appreciate everything he's done, but I would like to see him pursue the draft. That's just me. But I want to thank all of you, the Bama fans, for just being a part here of tonight's show. You guys have been awesome in the call line, in the chat line, conversations, talking about this Alabama football schedule for 2025. You guys have been phenomenal. As always, you want the best in news, notes, information, material on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio needs, check us out, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, iHeartRadio. We got you covered right there. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I'll try to be back on Friday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Remember, Bama fans, you can subscribe right now to touchdownalabama.com. Get all of your Bama in the palm of your hands. Be in the know on all things Bama by subscribing to touchdownalabama.com. Do that today. Want to shout out all of you who called in, who donated in, who commented in the YouTube chat line to make this your show, your spot for all things Tide football. Till next time, folks, I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith. As always, you've been listening to my own words.